I'm not seeing where it
So
changes.
this is actually what it's called. It's the glyceraldehyde.
At that point, that's what it's called.
And biphosphate is the end product. Okay.
So these are the names of them at the different steps in between. But you don't have to know it that in depth.
Mm-hmm.
But so on carbon, so there's usually hydrogens attached, and sometimes it might be an OH and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's ripping off like that kind of.
Mm-hmm.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. Is it doing that so phosphate can bind to it, or is it just doing
Um,
that because it needs to do that?
Partially both are true,
Okay.
because that has to happen for some other things, but also phosphate won't and can't attach until that process happens. Okay?
Okay.
So you can think of it just like it happens so phosphate can attach. Okay. Now is going to be the payoff phase. So ATP production.
And does it do this until it gets 36 ATP, or is it doing this simultaneously?
So this process
Mm-hmm.
is only going to give us a net of 2 ATP. We have to get the rest of the 36 come through the Krebs cycle, and then most of them through the electron transport chain.
Oh, so glycolysis is giving us 2 to continue the chain, right? Is that what's going on?
What happens is glycolysis gives us the pyruvic acid, and the pyruvic acid is used to get the rest.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay?
Mm-hmm. ATP production.
Okay. How many ATP do you think we can make off of these guys?
Well, 4.
4.
Because that's what
How many
we learned in
phosphates?
class, 'cause
Well,
there's
it's how many
4
phosphates.
Oh,
So,
really?
yeah, there's 4 phosphates, see? So we put in 4 ADP, or 2 ADP per each,
Mm-hmm.
and you get 4 ATP. So do you understand what ADP is and ATP is?
I know ADP means adenosine phosphate.
Adenosine what phosphate?
Uh,
What does the T or D stand for?
the D means for, adenosine diphosphate means 2.
Adenosine diphosphate, adenosine triphosphate.
Yeah.
Okay. So right now this has the adenosine right here,
Mm-hmm.
and there's 2 phosphates.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then it picks up one of these to turn it into a triphosphate.
Mm-hmm.
So because we've got 4 phosphates on these, that makes it so we can put 4 ADP in to get 4 ATP. Because you put 1 phosphate on each
And that's
ADP.
called anabolism, right? Because it's making them smaller or bigger.
Yeah.
Okay. Anabolism. Okay. So with the 2 okay, so you put 4 ADP for all of those together because it's the phosphorus that matters, right, when you're making ATP?
Correct. So 4 because 2 for this guy and 2 for this guy.
Okay.
Okay? And that's going to leave us
Because it took the phosphates away.
with 2 pyruvate or pyruvic acid.
Mm. Oh, okay. Okay, I get it. I guess that's perfect.
Okay?
Okay.
And now these guys, if there's oxygen, they'll go to the Krebs cycle. If there's not oxygen, they'll go through fermentation.
Okay.
So they have 2 different pathways that they can take. Like when you're sprinting, your muscles and whatnot, they're not using oxygen. Whereas if you're doing a long run, so you're kind of jogging for a long distance, then they are going to be using oxygen.
Mm-hmm. So, but if there's no oxygen, so how could there not be oxygen? 'Cause we're always breathing.
You're kind of always, so in technicalities, when you start sprinting, you're not breathing as much.
Yeah, I know.
You breathe a lot afterwards partially because you were holding your breath.
This is true.
So in part, that's part of it, and also it's on how well it can utilize the oxygen, because it doesn't start utilizing oxygen until you've been exercising for a while. It's a deeper process. Overall, it's just in short like bursts of energy aren't going to be using oxygen, whereas something where you're enduring and doing it for a while, you need oxygen.
So when I do homework, why do I get so hungry?
Why do you get so hungry?
Yeah, if I'm like not doing anything, I'm just sitting, like I get the munchies like crazy.
So in part, it could be because partially because you are able to focus better that way, and so it's a habit, and it could be because you still do use energy while you're sitting here, because like your ATP powered pumps, you have to be using ATP because those guys are working always.
Mm-hmm.
Your brain does use energy as well, and there's a lot of things that go into it, a lot of psychological things. But yeah, but your body does use energy while you're sitting around anyways.